Woo-wee! Welcome everybody, Skorch the Fears, episode 52. We've got Alejandro Alvarez, a beast of a man of a beast. Alejandro, I don't think you knew this. I didn't tell you this, but this is episode 52. I've been doing this for a year straight now. It
Wow.
is, I'm announcing this. It's pretty crazy. We've been doing this. I've been doing this podcast for a year. Been wild, had some wild guests. We've been getting better. We got Instagram running over here, which is pretty cool. I'm hoping that it'll work out and it'll be awesome on both ends. If not, people can give me feedback if you are on either of these. I'm going to be focusing on YouTube though. But Alejandro, my man, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing?
Bro, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on, bro. This is amazing. I think we've been speaking about this, for a little bit over a month or something?
Something like that. Yep.
Yeah.
100%. So real quick for the 0 people that don't know you right now, who are you? What do you do? Who is the real Alejandro Alvarez?
Great question. My name is Alejandro Alvarez. It's Latin. Was my family's Dominicans. They're Dominicans. I was raised in St. Martin. Oh, I'm wearing a hat today. That's a French island in the Caribbean, whatever everyone calls it. Everyone has a different way of saying it. And then 2009 came to America. I think the first state we went to was Georgia, from Georgia to Texas. Now I'm back here in Texas. I live here full time. Always been in sales since I was 16 years old. I came to America when I was 15. And I'm 29 now and been in real estate, been through so many sales jobs, went from dealership, door to door. What else? I also have some air duct cleaning services. That was a sales job. And now I'm here in real estate, but there's no limitations. So, Jonah, I think you and I can agree. Real estate is one of those sales jobs that you can have so many different ways of making money and no limitations.
It's amazing. Dude, do you know I lived in the Dominican Republic for 2 years? You probably don't know that. I was in the Peace Corps and I lived in the Dominican Republic. I'm going back in a week, which is really funny that you're Dominican.
Yo, that is crazy. What part? You going to Punta Cana? Sorry,
No. I'm not going where the gringos go. I'm going to Santiago, Puerto Plata, Las Terrenas, Samana, and then I'm going to my campo, like where I used to live, my campo.
Oh, like the countryside.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, that is dope.
Right? Yeah. Hablo español perfectamente, como un nativo. Like I got, just FYI, it's just funny because you just happen to be Dominican. So
that's crazy. And you never knew that.
Yeah. And I didn't know you were Dominican. I knew you were some sort of Latino, but I didn't know what type. Usually Black Latinos are Dominican, generally. Yeah. It's almost always. So real quick, what island? Saint
Martin. Saint Martin. It's owned by
what language do they speak?
It's Dutch and French. Yeah.
So what languages do you speak? Do you speak all of those? Any of those?
I used to. But now I can still understand French. I can still, a small conversation, but there's definitely a lot that I can do to better myself in French. I can understand a little bit of Italian. I can speak Spanish. I can also speak English. So those are the languages I mostly speak. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Anywho, that's just sick. So going to the real estate though, this is like what people care about, right? So in terms of real estate, so this podcast is called Skorch the Fears, right? So Skorch the Fears, basically the whole point of this podcast is to help newer investors get over the fears, the mindset barriers that they have when starting out in this. Because we all have mindset barriers, especially when we're starting. Everybody's is a little bit different. So I'm going to start with the question, when you were just starting in real estate, or if you feel like it'd be better to start with like your first sales job, but we can also start with real estate or your first company. What were the fears you were feeling and how did you overcome them?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm going to have to go back and think about, because it's been over 2 years since I've been full-time real estate. And the first year I spent reinventing my mindset. So there's a lot of things that I wouldn't say completely erased, but I just don't even think about it anymore. But
Right.
I would say the first, I mean, it was a big jump for me, man. The reason why I left the dealership with, which was a very great job, I learned a lot from working in the dealership. And this is when the pandemic hit a couple of years ago. And dude, that's when that pandemic hit, that's when I realized I really didn't have control of my life because I
Mm-hmm.
was working these 70, 80 hours a week. And yeah, you made money, but the month after that, you have to work hard again. Like it's
Right.
continual. You have to work over and over. And there were so many emotions, man, that I have to check in with like every morning or dodge every day, just to keep a positive mindset. Because I've always have like this positive, energy that I just want to keep. But it's really difficult when you're around a lot of different energy in one building that you work all day, all week. Um, so when I came to realize, man, I really don't have control of my life, and that's really when I was like, dude, I got to get out of here. There's something I have to
Mm-hmm.
do. And at that time, I remember, I would say it was maybe 3 years prior, somewhere in 2015, maybe 16, 15, 16. I actually started learning about wholesaling. I read the book Flip Me or Flip. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember. It was Nick Rees, I think it was. And obviously, the book prior to that was Rich Dad Poor Dad. A lot of people
Classic.
read that book. Yeah. Um, but I was actually still working at a dealership back then, and I was that one guy in the suit just jumping off the intersection, putting a bandit sign with a track phone from Walmart. I don't think I got a deal from that, but I was working with a group of.
So you were, sorry to interrupt, but so
Go ahead.
you were at the dealership and uh doing real estate.
Yeah, back in 2015. This is when Jerry Norton was killing the YouTube content.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did that, and man, so fast forward back to the pandemic times, I was like, man, I do remember I still know real estate. Let me reach out to one of the guys that I met back then and see how they're doing. And I met one of the guys that I believe he still has a wholesale company right now. And he posted literally like maybe 2 hours later of after I was like, man, I got to get out of here. He was like, hey, looking for acquisitions. I'm like, I don't know what that means. What do you mean acquisitions? And I messaged him. He was like, hey, this is just, closing deals. I'm like, great. I'm one of the best closers here at the dealership. I was top 3 sales in Nissan, and I did really well for myself there. 6 figures a year. I was a little bit younger
Nice.
mindset, didn't know what the heck to do with all that money, but it was fun.
Right.
So that's when I met him, and he was like, hey, I can't promise you that you'll make $10,000, $15,000 like you do at the dealership, but I can promise you there's no limits. There's a lot of opportunities. And man, that was tough because at the time I was in a relationship and I had
Mm.
bills. I still had people that I take care of financially. And man, that was a really, really scary jump for me, but that was it.
How old were you? Like, can you talk a little bit about your situation and what that was? Because I feel like one of the most common things I hear, maybe not explicitly as much anymore, but implicitly, is like, man, Jonah, it's easy for you. You started when you were 25. You didn't have any bills to pay. You were
Yeah.
just living with your parents. Like I bought
Mhm.
my own food, but that was about it, and paid my own gas.
Right.
But they were just like, you had that. You didn't have the responsibilities of kids or parents. I don't know what your responsibilities were, but can you talk about that a little bit of just like what was your situation at that time?
Yeah. I'll be honest, man. I actually didn't have that many bills. I
Okay.
don't have kids yet. But at the
Gotcha.
time, I still have my 2008 Mercedes paid off. Something I learned from the Rich Dad Poor Dad, liabilities versus
Right.
assets. And so I had a paid off. I have a paid off car, and I still have it till today. It's really nice. I get a lot of compliments, more from older people. They like that car, but I'll take that. Um, I had my apartment. Obviously, when you're in a relationship, have a you want to have some nice things here and there. Um, but I had a pretty decent amount of money saved up, and I just took that jump, bro. And when
Mhm.
for 2 months. It took 2 months for me to get my first deal. And my first deal, I think I just posted this on Instagram recently. My first deal was like $300. That's how much I made. But
Woo! Ring the
that was
bell. Ring
that,
the bell for $300. Let's go.
bro. That's all I needed to, um, for the verification. Like just that gratification of like, whoa, this is possible. This is, the possibilities are here. And then my next deal, I made that company $70,000. I forgot how much I made. I think it was like 10 grand or something. But
Gotcha.
bro, ever since then, I was like, okay, yeah, this is it. This is it.
T-
I'm not
Talk
going back to
about
bullshit.
I love it, dude. I mean, my dad was a car salesman, and I saw that life via him, and it is not, it is a that is a grind. That is a grind of a
Yeah,
freaking life. Um, Talk about when you received that $300, because I know a lot of people hear that and they're like, okay, like $300, like cool, but like that's not going to pay any bills. But
yeah,
I already know what you were thinking of, like
yeah,
just like getting a check in general of like
yeah,
what it does to your mind. Can you talk about that for a second?
yeah, absolutely, man. Like the $70,000, a second deal, like it meant nothing compared to that $300. I'll tell you that right
Mm-hmm.
now,
Yep.
because that $300, it was that little piece that my mind was missing to let my mind know, like, we're okay, we're gonna make it. Like I was so much in disbelief. I'm like, there's no way I'm just gonna cold call
Mm-hmm.
people and make money and be financially free in real estate. No way.
Right.
This is crazy. But when I made that $300 and I watched step by step on how that happened, I couldn't believe on how simple it was, bro.
Right.
I couldn't believe it. And then that next deal, I'm like, ever since then, like it was just like, okay, cool. Deals after deals after deals after deals. And yeah, man, again, that's all I needed to just let myself know like we're gonna be okay. That
I
$300
love it.
check.
I love it. So, okay, you're working for somebody else at the beginning. Um, What happened? So, like, let's go a little bit just more with the story. I
Mhm.
have maybe some questions about working for somebody else, but what just like what happened with the job you eventually quit to start your own business? Was that always in your mind to do that, or were you initially thinking, no, I'd just rather do this for this guy, or what were you thinking?
Well, I worked for that company for about a year, but I've since we already had like that conversation prior to me starting with him. It was like, hey, this is what's possible after this amount of months. You're going to be able to run your own company. I'm like, okay, this is great. And it was just something fast that really happened. And after a year, he actually decided to go fully virtual. So it was like mostly just VAs working for his company. So that was the time for me um, to go ahead and start my own company with my cousin, which is my business
Okay.
partner. But that company has helped me massively to get where I'm at today because I mean, he showed me all the ins and out. He shows me what system, what tools to use. Just really good stuff that helped me. Obviously, I've learned a lot more since then. But I mean, if it wasn't for me starting to work for someone, I don't think I would be here right now in this podcast, to be honest with you, because
Gotcha.
that's helped me scale very fast.
Okay, so real quick, when do you think a person should do that? Like how like cuz some people like me, that wasn't for me, but like I'm curious like what type of person do you think should do that? Do you think everybody should always do that? Like what what's your advice to people who are just starting? Like is it start on your own, or is it like hey, find an Alejandro Alvarez who's hiring for acquisition managers?
Mhm.
Like what do you think is the right role? Is it like a certain personality type?
If I have to give advice for anyone that's starting off, especially now during this market, that's a little bit more difficult to get some deals. It used to be, I don't know, what was it, like 30 leads per contract? Now it's like 60 or
Hmm.
somewhere in the higher end. Really depends on your marketing. But I would always say work for someone, have that fully transparent conversation from the front, have your upfront contract ready, let that person know your intentions. Hey, I want to run my own business. I will work for you for at least a
Mm,
year. I've had people DM me saying, "Hey, I want to work for you for like 3 months and learn and do my own thing." Like the amount of months, years even that it took you to learn all the stuff that you know today where you at your business, for someone to just say, "Hey, let me just come to you, dig your brain for like 3 months," it's almost like a disrespect, like a slap in the face. Like, hey,
mm,
cool, I know you did it for 2 years, but let me just work 2 months and I go do my own thing. So I always advise people, whatever company you're working for, at least do it for a year and have that upfront contract. For the first quarter, learn how to, do the acquisition stuff with lead generation. Second quarter, learn how to do transactions. Third quarter, dispo. Fourth quarter, how to even run your own business. Like it makes sense. It takes time to learn these things. You're not going to learn all of that in 3 months.
right.
Not enough to run a business or scale a business. So I always recommend go work for someone, but vet that person properly. You want to make sure that that person can, has the system in place and resources to make sure that you will reach your financial goals every month. Because I know we all have expenses. Well, I know we all have to pay our bills. So make sure you vet that person. Hey, how much does your, slowest acquisition guy makes here? And it doesn't have to be acquisition. You can, do disposition as well, or whatever that could be. There's still a way.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Are there any other questions you should ask? Is it just like how much does the person who's already in my role make? Are there any other ways you would vet the person or the position?
Oh man, dude, with the stuff I know now, make sure that make sure that company knows creative finance. Please.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting. Talk about that.
I mean, dude, because if you only know cash offer, cash offer, cash offer, you're gonna miss so many opportunities, especially when you're helping out the homeowners. Because there's some people that can't sell their house for a discount. They don't have equity. They don't have, they can't afford to sell your house to sell their house at a discount. And that was one
Right.
of the reasons why I got in creative finance, because me being at the dealership, I always found ways, to help someone with a monthly payment. Hey, I got this other car that I can help you get a lower monthly payment, or I got this other car that has a sunroof. But when it came to wholesale, when it was only cash offer, I'm like, dude, is this the only thing I can provide to these people? What else can I do? This person really needs to sell their house, but they can't sell it at a discount. So this is when I started getting into creative finance. I read a book. I think it's called My Life in 1,000 Homes by Mitch Stevens.
Hmm.
And from there, he shows you how to do like owner finance, private money lending with like $100,000 homes. And it was like straight owner finance. It was nothing sub two. But then I went on YouTube and search how to owner finance a house with a mortgage. And that's when Pace popped up on YouTube and the real estate
Classic.
disruptors. Yeah. So once I find out what else is possible out there with creative finance, oh my God. If you're going to go start to work with another wholesale company, make sure they know creative finance, because now you have a whole bunch of tools and resources for you to succeed. So that would be my advice on that.
Interesting. So that's a cool criteria. I kind of like that they know cash offers and creative financing. That's
Mhm.
cool. Is there anything else you think, or just those two?
No, I mean, obviously, not everyone is going to resonate with you. Make sure they resonate
Right.
with you, because you don't want to be in a very toxic environment. You don't want to be in a, you don't want to be forced to wake up and work. That's something, I
Right.
really don't enjoy doing. It's just like being in an environment where I just don't enjoy being there. I don't feel peaceful. At least that's for me. Some people don't care. For me, I need to be at peace. I need to have my own little corner so I can focus and do what I need to do.
Gotcha. So what's your advice? Because I like listening to this because again, I'm gearing this towards people who've never even done a deal before.
Mhm.
What's your advice, because I think it's very easy to plug into somebody's business if you're a closer. I
Yeah.
consider myself very much a closer also. Like I have
Mhm.
that personality type of a salesperson.
Mhm.
What about people who are more like introverted, or somebody who's more integrator style, or
Ooh.
maybe isn't a closer but is something else? Like I would say, how do you know? The real question is this: how do you know where to plug yourself into somebody else's business?
Oh,
What
that's
would
a
be
great
good for you?
question. You can start with reading the book Rocket Fuel. That will
Mm.
help you understand more of your superpowers. If you're an integrator, I would advise you to reach out to some visionaries, especially if they're closers, because if they're closers, you can then be, and you can be the operator for the business.
Quickly define what integrator means. I didn't define it, but define what an integrator versus a visionary is for the people who haven't read the book.
Well, I don't know down to the details. I'll be honest with you, Jonah. I just know the difference between visionary and integrator is me, my business partner. He's more in the back end, like to do the operations, like to do all the technical stuff, like to put all the systems in place. He does the automations in our CRMs. I don't enjoy any of that. I see a vision. I go speak with my partner. Hey, here's this vision. Can we make it possible? Like today, I asked him, hey, I have an idea to make the CRM a little bit more easier with the automations. Can you make this possible? And he goes like, let me think about that. And then he goes behind the scenes with the IT stuff and he does all that integrator stuff. So it's a real good combination to have, especially when you have a company that you're looking to scale. But as far as
Right.
that, Rocket Fuel will definitely give you more details on that.
Yeah. So back to the original question. So like if you're an integrator, find a visionary. What if they don't want to start the business yet though? Let's say they just want to plug into somebody else's business. My personal answer for this is and I'll just get your opinion on it after too, is like if you're an integrator, do something like TC work um or like admin stuff for somebody, right? Like understanding your strengths and then seeing if you can plug into somebody's business that way. Because I know people who are starting incredible TC businesses, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you have any more advice on that, but it's something I've been thinking about as people
Hmm.
ask me, because people will constantly asking me, and they probably ask you too. It's like, hey, Jonah, like I want to work for you. Like I want to be your acquisitions manager because I just hired an acquisitions manager. But very obviously, some of those people are just not closers. They're not right for that role. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I do think people really benefit by working for somebody else. So what do you think? Do you kind of agree with me, or what do you think about that?
No, I agree with you. There's definitely multiple departments that you can get plugged into that you don't have to put yourself in a position where you're being forced to talk to sellers. Some integrators hate talking to people. They don't want to talk to sellers.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to be behind the scene and make sure the systems are in place. They're a little bit more organized. I'm like, dude, if it wasn't for my partner, I would definitely be disorganized, like in a lot of places in my business.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's keep going with the story a little bit. You start reading books. You're still working for the other guy.
Hmm.
You start learning about owner financing, and then you find the great Pace Morby. And
Oh
what
my god.
happens?
Man, the first thing I did was, I listened to the whole podcast with him and was it Steve? Yeah, Steve Tran, and he gave out his number on that YouTube, and I texted him. I'm like, hey, I want to get into creative finance. Matter of fact, here I still have it saved.
You still have the
Because,
video saved?
no, I have the text message I sent him here because I only texted him here a few
Is
times.
this is to Pace?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Guys, secret knowledge. If you go to the first podcast Pace ever did with Steve Trang, you get his personal cell phone number if you like find the right thing. So all of you can spam him, say, hey, Jonah told me to spam you from the podcast, and that'd be funny. And he might not like me after that, but it's just saying that's a hack if you need his number or want his number.
I can't find it here because this whole thing got restarted. But I texted him and I was telling him, "Hey, I want to join. I want to whatever you're doing. I want to do sub to creative finance, owner finance." And he told me to reach out to Jimmy Al. Shout out to Jimmy Al, great guy. He's the one that and I got on the phone with Jimmy Al one time, and he was just I think he was just chilling somewhere.
Who is he?
Jimmy Al, he's a sub two student.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just chilling and he was all
What
relaxed, talking on the phone.
what year was this? How long ago was this?
This was during the pandemic. It was a couple months after the whole pandemic thing went down.
Okay, so 2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, I want to say
Yeah.
2020. Um, but yeah, I reached out to Jimmy Allen. He was like, "Yeah, I'm working on taking this property down, sub two, whatever." Like he said it like it was nothing, and to me, it was like this is like a whole nother like blockage I had in my mind. Like, what? Take over someone's mortgage? What are we talking about? And I didn't know that was possible. And as soon as I spoke with Jimmy Allen, I'm like, "Yeah, I need to join sub two. I need to join right now." Because at that time, I actually had a seller on the phone um that wanted to sell her house, but she couldn't. And the funny thing is, she was moving to Phoenix. So I took that as a sign. I'm like, yo, wait a minute. Pace Morby's in Phoenix. This lady, all of a sudden, she lives in Phoenix, and she's okay with me taking over her mortgage. I have to join this community. I have to join it. And it took me about 2 weeks of just listening to Pace Morby on the phone with like the rebuttals, sellers' objections, and all that stuff. And I got back on the phone with that lady and told her, "Hey, here's what we can do," which is a sub two, and she needed nothing. I think she was like $1,800 behind on the mortgage, and we took it over sub two. That was my first sub two. 2 weeks into the mentorship, and yeah, if you go back to like the rap series and the Kajabi, you'll see I was one of those guys there asking like, "Hey, what do I do next?"
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. So, sorry. So at this time, you were in did you start your own business yet, or were you still working for that guy?
Oh no. I didn't start my own business like maybe like 8 months after that.
Okay, interesting. So, you joined Sub 2 while working for somebody else?
Yep.
That's so interesting. Wait a minute. So, hold on, because that's almost that because like Sub 2 is not cheap. It's a couple $1,000s, right? So you were just that dedicated to learning it in general, basically.
Yep.
That's insane. So like talk about that a little bit, because in my mind, if I was working for somebody else, I would just I'd be like, like this, like whatever. Like I'm not gonna spend $8,000 to help out my employee or my employer. Like he can figure it out and join Sub 2, and maybe when I
Yeah.
start my business, I'll join it, and maybe then that'll work. What motivated you in that moment to be like, nah, I want to get this sale, and I want to know. I'm here to learn.
Right. Man, the motivation was there. I mean, just listening to that podcast with Paige, like it was just, I don't know what it was. It was like this energy of like this guy is going to help me change my entire life. Just I don't know if it was the way he spoke or maybe the way that he went through, that whole bankruptcy situation, and he just bounced back like whatever. Let's just keep going. And he was just saying about sub twos owner finance. And there was this one other video that shocked me. It was him. He was speaking about it took him 4 months to take down properties creatively and create $20,000 in cash flow. I couldn't, I
Hmm.
couldn't, I couldn't understand it. But when I watched that video, I'm like, yes, this is what I need to be part of, because that's what I wanted to escape. The whole rat race, the whole making 15, 20,000, $10,000 here, but then you have to work as hard the next month. Like, but this pace just out of the blue, just 4 months later, he's creating $20,000 worth of cash flow. I'm like, what?
Right.
And so it was just like something was just calling, bro. Like, I have to be here. I know I'm a great closer. I just need to be in front of the opportunities and know my tools and how I can use those tools to succeed. I knew that was the way to go at that time. I just had a really strong feeling.
Okay. So then when did you leave?
The other business,
Mm-hmm.
it was like 8 months. 8 months after that, I believe that's when he decided to go virtual in his business. Um,
Gotcha. Oh, so that's why. So you left because he wanted to go virtual, and so he kind of was like, "Hey, I'm letting people go because I'm going virtual." Is that it?
yep.
Okay. So, when, even if like it wasn't necessarily your choice in that one, when would you suggest? Let's go through the timeline a little bit of somebody who, what you think ideally, somebody who hasn't done a deal yet. They're like, okay, I want to work for Alejandro Alvarez because he's super dope. I saw him on this podcast and he's an amazing guy. Work for him for, is it just a time thing of like just work a year and then quit? Is it based on time, you think? Is it based on how many skills they learn? Or like, when do you think somebody should be like, okay, I'm now ready to jump into my own business?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And I would say it really depends on who you are or who that person is. Because not everyone, Jonah, really has, that not everyone wants to run their own business, right?
Right.
Some people, there's a difference with entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. Some people are okay being entrepreneurs, working as a CEO, working as a sales director. Like if you can still make, whatever your financial goals are every month, then there's not a necessity to, okay, well, after a year I'm going to go run my own business. And
Mm-hmm.
if I can go back and tell someone like, hey, if I can go back, I wish I work a little bit more um, for that other business, because I felt like I still wasn't really ready to scale on my own. But
Hmm.
thankfully, it went well.
Right.
But my risk tolerance is super high. I tell my friends this all the time. Like, bro, if you tell me there's something I can do, help people, make money, and my worst case scenario is that I go back to zero, whatever, let's go.
I love
Cool.
that. I love that so much. That's similar to me. Like, I agree. It's like, if worst came to worst, I lose everything I've made. I uh I break my lease and I go back living with my parents, just like how I was 3 years ago. And it's just like, that is literally the worst case scenario, right? Which, so anyways, at least for me, I totally get it. You seem like a very introspective guy in the sense that you know yourself pretty well. I get that feeling from you. I don't know if it's just that you talk very calmly and slowly. I don't know. That might just be it. But, if it isn't just that, how does uh, Plato? How does one know thyself? How does one like learn what they should be doing in this business or whether they should be going into it?
Yo, Jonah, you're asking some really good questions
I
tonight,
spit the
bro.
fire, dude.
You're spitting some fire right now.
Scorch the fears.
Uh, Man, for me it's different, bro. I mean, I can get really deep into this, but I can just go surface level.
Deep. We're
What do
going
you?
deep, dude. 100%.
Ooh.
Go as deep. Go. We're going as deep philosophically as we possibly can right now. I'm turning this into a
Wow.
therapy session if I need to.
Wow. Okay, cool. Well, in my personal beliefs, in the past couple of years of just doing self-development, I've came to notice and realize a few things about myself that I didn't know how to define, if you get what I'm saying. Like there's
Mhm.
like you ever like done something and you do it and you just don't know why, but it feels good when you do it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like something like I've been doing my whole life.
Mm.
And I would say reading books, watching people like on that are on higher levels, help me understand really why I'm doing certain things in life. But going back, bro, since I was a kid, I've always been in combat sports, and I think that has a lot to do with my confidence in taking
What does that
action.
mean? What does a
Um,
combat sport mean?
Combat sports like
Oh,
karate.
combat.
Yeah,
Combat.
combat,
Sorry.
combat, combat. Yes,
Sorry.
karate,
Got you.
soccer, baseball, um, sports like that. And I've always been that guy that just wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best. I got diploma in kickboxing, hit
Nice.
a home run in baseball, um, and I used to be a sprinter as well. When I used to live in
Mm.
St. Martin, we used to go around the whole island, and the island's actually not that big, bro. It's I think in a car, 'cause there's no highways. In a car, it can take you maybe 25 to 30 minutes to get to the other side of the island.
Damn. Very
So
small.
yeah, so it's really small. It's only a two-way street. And again, I just always wanted to be the best, man. And I think it really starts from there. Like that's how deep it starts since I was a kid. My mom used to put me in sports, and no one wants to be last place, bro. That's a horrible, horrible
Mm.
feeling. No one wants to be in last place. So
Right.
I've always been competitive. And I think that has a lot to do with how I take action in everything I do today. Because when I went to the air duct service, I was the first one. My first job I got here in the United States was a valet parking job, which was at the Fairmont downtown Dallas. And guess what? Since I used to be a sprinter, it actually worked out. I'm actually the one running back and forth, getting
Nice.
these keys. And dude, I was parking some really nice cars like Aston Martins, um, Lexus. Like Lexus were the ish back then, bro. Like
Mhm.
they were that car. At least in my opinion, like when people were coming up to the hotel, that's a lot of people that's what they used to drive a lot.
Right.
But I always being competitive. Like I want to make the most tips. Like we weren't getting paid much hourly. It actually sucked. I forgot how much it was, but it was really bad.
But you were always competitive, I can tell.
Oh
So like you always had that competition spirit.
yeah, always, bro. So I was just running back and forth, and that's actually where I met a guy that he pulled up in an Aston Martin, and I was like, dude, what do you do? Like, what do I need to do to get one of those cars? And that's who was like, hey, get into real estate, read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I was like 17 or 18 at that time, and I read that book.
Mm.
Um, but then I went to the air duct service, became the top sales in there. He was like, dude, you making us a lot of money. And I was making a lot of money there. That's when I first actually started seeing some decent money. I think I made like $3,000 one month, and I've never seen that amount of my money in my life. And I was like, yo, this is
Mhm.
crazy. This is one of the jobs that I found on Craigslist, and the guy say, meet me outside in a white van. And I was like, whatever.
What the
I
hell?
just want to make more money. And then went to the dealership. They was like, hey, wait like 3 months until you can sell on your own. I started selling on my own that first month, and I was the top sales the month after.
Nice. Nice.
So
Sick.
I was being really competitive, and I think really that's where it starts. As far as having this confidence. So anytime someone tells me, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you," and all it takes is just me getting on the phone or talking to people or sales, I have that confidence. Like, I got this. I will outwork you, whatever you bring to the table. That's really that mindset that I have because I've been outworking people since I was a little kid. So I always had that, that combat sport thing, that whatever mindset.
Right.
Yeah. So that's really where it starts for me. And I mean, I've never had trouble getting girls in school. I don't know if that has something to do with it. I've
Nice.
never had trouble doing that. I guess it's maybe that
Amazing.
one dark skinned guy that speaks Spanish is weird, whatever. It was just, I always had some type of advantage. I don't know, but that's really where my confidence comes in. And now that I'm reading all these books, Jonah, now that I'm watching Pace Morby, people like Pace Morby, Jerry Norton, like starting from zero. I mean, Pace Morby the guy went bankrupt on him, and he went, okay, cool. I just made $20,000 a month in cash flow in 4 months. I'm like, okay, this is amazing.
Yep.
And that the belief that I have, like, okay, if I know how to use those tools that he knows, I know I'm going to win. So I have no doubts that I'm going to win. So that's
I
kind of where that goes.
I love that. I like that answer. I think to summarize what you said, or one way to summarize what you said is think back to what you were into or like how you acted when you were a kid or like what you naturally gravitate towards, right?
Yep.
I think going back to that childhood, you and me are very similar, by the way. I also did boxing and I do jujitsu now. Like combat sports are kind of like my thing too, which is
Nice.
just very funny. I love that stuff.
I want to get into
Uh,
jujitsu, bro. But yeah, go
dude,
on.
we should talk about that. Jujitsu's it's I I think it maybe Joe Rogan said this. It's like playing chess with dire consequences.
Yeah.
And what's cool about it too is that unlike boxing, you can go all out in training, right? Like you can't go all out in training in boxing. Like you're gonna screw somebody up. You got to like be a little lighter. Well,
Yeah.
like in jujitsu, like worst thing happens, you knock out, but then you wake up like a minute later and you're totally fine.
Yeah.
Getting off topic for a second, but 100% a dope sport. Um, I 100% agree in the sense of like, think back to your childhood. Like, what were you naturally gravitating towards? And also for me, at least what I think it is too, this might be my personal belief of how to do it is, and it might be just my personal attitude of always, my personal attitude is if something just sounds super sick to you, that's what you should do. Like if something's like, man, that would be sick to start a real estate business, or that would be sick to do jujitsu, then just go there. Go where like your nature is taking you, and don't worry about like anything else. Like when you're doing this business or when you're doing something, like what are you naturally enjoying, right? Like, are you enjoying the sales? Are you enjoying the creating the CRM, right? And like understanding
Mm.
that, I think it's just having that internal pulse of like, what is making me happy in this business? Like, which parts am I the happiest? I'm like you in the sense that when I'm trying to, I can create a CRM and I force myself to do it because it's
Yeah.
necessary. I don't have a business partner. So I'm like, screw it. I have to make this work because I'm going to make this work no matter what. That's 100% happening. I'm just going to have to kind of suffer through making the CRM good enough.
Yeah.
And my CRM is pretty fire now, but it was much more painful than getting on the phone with sellers for me. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like just kind of agreeing and like putting that out there too. Um, so you mentioned like part of the reason that you think you got that confidence was through girls liking you. I think girls didn't like me in high school. They liked me in college, but I think you're flipping the horse and the carriage a little bit. I think the confidence comes before the girls, even if you're a very attractive guy too, right? Like I know why you're like tall, dark, and handsome, right? Like classic. Every girl says that shit,
Thanks, bro.
right? You know, I'm just saying, like if there's any girls in here, type in, put a heart if you think Alejandro's attractive, you know. But but I think the confidence comes first. I think it even did for you, even if you are attractive. Like where do you feel like? Do you feel like it really was just girls, or do you feel like maybe there was something else in your upbringing that also made you confident?
No, man. Definitely, it's not just the girls. I mean, that was just part of my journey of finding, thyself. Like, yo, I mean, dude, high school, like, we're broke people. Like, I had nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and for whatever reason, I was getting really attractive females at the time. I'm like, okay, damn,
Right.
it's something about me that's attracting them. So I attracting them. So that's just part of this of the whole confident part. Like, okay, you start getting boosted, and like people come like, dude, you're dating such and such, like from the
Right.
cheerleading team. Like, what? Oh my god. Okay. Um. So I mean, that was just part of it, Jonah. It wasn't that it wasn't just that. It was just part of it. I mean, again, it goes back to when I was a kid and doing all these sports and just being number one, number one, number one, number one. Like I just don't want to be number two. And it's
Right.
crazy. I didn't grow up too much with a father figure. It's just my mom
Mm-hmm.
and dude, St. Martin, like how we lived in St. Martin and Dominican Republic, it was really bad. Like it was like
Yeah.
poverty, bro. It was so bad. And then we finally got out of that, and then I can't look back. And that's another thing too, Jonah. I think is knowing what being poor looks like
Mm-hmm.
and knowing what having money looks like, that's huge. Because I
Yep.
think a lot of people get into the position where they can make money right off, the jump, and they don't know what poor looks like. So they don't have that fear or that knowing of like what can really happen if you really F this shit up. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
think it's really part of it as well of like why just I stay consistent and keep going. Cause like I look back and it's like, yeah, I'm not going back over there.
I 100% agree with that. Like I grew up in a middle class background, so like I I get what you mean though in the sense of appreciation. There's an appreciation even
Yeah.
I didn't grow up like you did at all. Like I didn't grow up poor whatsoever, but like when I was in the Peace Corps and lived in the compo, like they were really poor, right? Like my house had a tin roof,
Yeah.
uh
Same
no
thing
running
here.
water.
Imagine growing up
I
in
only
that, bro.
I only lived there for 2 years though. You grew up in it. So like it's a completely different situation, but I get in the sense of like having that perspective gives you two things, I think. I think it gives you that appreciation for everything you have in America, especially.
Oh my
Like
God.
just how like, yeah, bro, we can get into that, but like just like how like man, like just by being American, you start at like if it's 1 to 10 levels, you're already at like level 8 just by being in America.
Yeah.
But it also, I've talked about this on every single podcast at this point because I really want to hammer this into people.
Mhm.
I think to be successful, there's really two things: inspiration and desperation. I think
Mm.
you kind of need a little bit of both. So the
Mm.
desperation for you, I can tell already, is that knowing where you came from, not wanting to be in that poverty situation again, right? for me, it was more like I've got nothing going on. It's either this or be an insurance salesman or some nonsense job that's
Yeah.
going to suck. Right. So, and then inspiration is like the Pace Morbies, Jerry Norton's, and being like, damn, we can do this. So that's my personal philosophy on it for sure. Talk a little bit about like the parent situation, because I'm curious, because I think one of the main reasons why I have my confidence is I had divorced parents, but I didn't have single parents, but they
Yeah.
did a really good job of like knowing, like being like, hey, you're always loved, like you're always going to be loved. There's always somewhere for you to go, no matter like what happens.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how you feel like your parents affected you on your journey in business and real estate.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to give this one to my mom, bro. Um, and I'll get into my stepfather, which was my only father figure that I have. He passed
Mm-hmm.
away prior to the pandemic. But to my mom, she was working night shifts. Like she was working at the casinos in St. Martin. That's really
Mm-hmm.
where the money's at in that island. As far as I know, that's where. Because if you go to St. Martin, everywhere you go, there's a casino, casinos, and that's where all the tourists go, to have fun. And she will work overtime, and during the daytime, she will have another job. My mom was always working hard. She was always working hard to make sure we have a roof over our head, make sure we have food. And even that, bro, living in St. Martin, that just wasn't enough, man. And she was just always working hard. So it was such a, I guess, just always looking back, it's like, yo, if it wasn't for my mom, I would not be here in America.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing all the steps she went through and knowing everything she went through in life, that was really inspiring to me because it let me know, like, don't take this as a joke, bro. Like, she did
Mm-hmm.
not, worked her ass off for you to come to America and just jack off. Like, that's not what she, did all that for. Like, get
Right.
to work. So when I was 16, I got to work. I came to America when I was 15. And I
Mm.
tried to work when I was 15, but no one would accept. I was too young. Well, okay,
Right.
cool. Um, but then also having a father figure, my stepdad, he met my mom in St. Martin. He was Jamaican and Chinese. That was an interesting mix.
Cool
Very
combo.
Yeah, it was very cool. What's funny was, like, dude, it was hilarious. Like, he would speak Jamaican accent perfectly when his mom or his family call him straight Chinese. I'm like, whoa, what just happened? What? So it was just really interesting to see that. And he actually worked at the casino as a manager. He made decent money. He was driving like Cadillacs. He was driving like those people with like those VIP services, and it was like really nice cars. And I got to driving that as well. Um, and he was kind of giving me feedbacks on how to stay financially free. Like, hey, if your expenses is this, make sure you're making this, and you can take 20% of that, send it over to your family, etc., and all that good stuff. So I learned from him, and unfortunately, he passed away prior to the pandemic. That was like one of the saddest moments of
Sorry, man.
my entire life. Yeah, no problem, man. And yeah, just those type of like situations I went through in life. It was just like, bro, like, you're on your own. Like, you got to get the shit together. So I
Mm-hmm.
really took that to the heart. And one day I just woke up and like, I'm done. I stopped partying. I stopped drinking. I got into 75 hard. I started meditating, started reading
Hmm.
books.
Wait, what inspired
I was,
that? You said one day. What day and why? Why that day, you think?
that was the day. A few months after my father passed away, and when the whole pandemic thing happened, because there was this is one incident that happened at the dealership. It's so funny. Um, I was in a relationship at the time, and her parents flew from the United Kingdoms to come meet me. And during that time, it was during the whole pandemic thing, and I was supposed to make like 100 phone calls that day, but the power went out at the dealership like 3 times, and I had like 4 customers in the store. So I
Mm.
managed to get 80 calls, which is the minimum is 25. So I managed to still get 80 phone calls. And I went to the desk to check out. I think my boss at the time, because he never really messed with me. Because I get the job done, but he just stood there past 6 o'clock that day, I guess, waiting for me. and I was supposed to leave at 6 o'clock. Dinner was at 7. It was already 6:30 because I couldn't, make the calls. I'm like, hey, I gotta go. Like, I really have to go. He was like, well, it's either your job or your family.
Oh, that's so
Bro,
freaking freak, dude. Jesus.
I was still such a calm dude back then. Like, I don't know if it triggered, but something just told me just walk away. And I said, thank you, good night. I walked away. I was like, okay.
Nice. Bravo, dude. I'm so glad you did that. Like, I don't want to swear on this, but screw that guy. That's like literally the worst. That is the boss that I will never be. That's the exact opposite of what I want to be as a boss. Anyways, that makes me angry for you.
Yeah, but but there's still a lot of things that I thank him for, man. I mean, that's that situation alone, and I don't think I don't know. I tend to look at the good things in people, and not
Maybe it was the universe. You never know.
yeah,
Maybe it was the universe telling
maybe
you it's time.
maybe if it wasn't if he didn't say that one statement, I wouldn't be on here with you, Jonah.
True.
I
Like you
probably
never
would have
know.
been in the finance department making $200,000 a year or $300,000 a year, being happy, for whatever reason. But
Right.
I mean, that statement, man, that set it off for me. I'm like, yo, I don't have control of my life. Like,
Right.
this guy gave me two choices, and he's right. I only have two choices, and I chose my family. And I did, bro. I left. Um, but either way, man, I'm super thankful for that business, for the dealership, because Jonah, that business alone has helped me structure my business today.
Hmm.
Because when I, just watching other people's wholesale operations, I'm like, yo, this is trash, bro. What why do you have
What are you doing?
why do you have me cold calling and closing? I'm a closer. Don't make me cold call, please. Don't tell me to sign contracts. Don't tell me to sell deals. Just give me opportunities to close and I will close them. And that's when I started realizing, like, yo, you need to have a system in place. This is how you do this. Is like when I was a dealership, only thing I my job was to make sure I close deals. Every morning I
Right.
get fed the leads. Why? Because they know I can close them. So when I come to, other wholesale operations and I see how their people work, it's like you're having this acquisition guy, this guy that can close deals, the guy that can, bring money to your company, do all these extra stuff that are non-money activities. Go have an
Hmm.
integrator on this thing. Don't bring closers into this. So I have my business structure that way, how I remember at the dealership. So I'm super grateful for that dealership.
That's so true too. Like in the sense of, I think having those past experiences for you, like I really like your story because I think you're the most successful person I know who started working for somebody else at the beginning. And I really like how you like learned all those steps because I agree that like people who like most people don't own a business. Like they own a job, which is cool and all. Like it's cool. Like I was there at one point where I owned a job and hey, it was better than not owning the job. It was better than working for somebody else. But it is interesting like how people learn to scale.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like when I think about myself about how I scaled, it was the same way that I learned how to make the CRM. Is like, okay, how am I going to do this where I don't go freaking insane? Because having one person who's trying to close, sell deals and do that, I'm like, they're literally going to be me, but worse. I
Hmm.
know you need to separate these, but my question to you is like, how do you feel like somebody should learn how to scale their business? It's going to be a two-parter. It's going to be, how do you think you should learn how to scale? This is hard because you learned it from working for somebody else, and maybe that's your
Yeah.
answer. And then when do you scale?
Ooh, man, I think that goes back. It depends on who they are, who you are as a
Mm-hmm.
person, and what type of belief system you have. Because one of the hardest thing for me was, Jonah, is letting go. Because no one, I knew, like I had this in my mind, like no one is going to do it better than I am. No one. I'm going to bring people in, and they're going to learn from me, and they're still not going to be good as me. And that was I think that was a really negative way of thinking, and I had to
Mm-hmm.
adjust, man, by reading books. Like, hey, it's okay. You have to let go. They're going to do
Yep.
mistakes. They're going to learn. They're going to cost you money, but if you can have, 2 people, 3 people do 30% of what you do or 40% of what you do, like that's when you're going to start scaling. If you can have 5 people to do 30% of what you do, now your business is starting to scale, right?
Quickly, like for everyone here, basic math of that is 30% times 5 is 150% of what you can do. So just in
Yeah.
case people didn't catch that, because I definitely also have the same thing or had the same thing, was like, man, nobody's going to be as good as me. True, but 5 people are going to be better than you
Yes,
if done right.
absolutely. And you're leveraging time. You're leveraging time, and you're making sure that you're taking care of these people to help you scale your business. And I'm at the point, Jonah, in my business that I'm not really interested in bringing in people that are wanting to be here for a year. I'm more interested in bringing people that wants to grow with me for years to come and have
Yep.
franchise under me and have, all these scalable departments in the business.
Yep.
Because, bro, I want to go to sleep at night. I don't want to be worried about, oh, this guy's going to leave me in a year. Is it going to happen?
Yep.
Sure. But I want to be in a position where that doesn't bother me.
Yep. 100%. I mean, for me, my requirement is 2 years. And then my goal is to be the best boss you've ever had and make you so much
I love
money
that.
that you're just never going to want to leave. And that's
Yeah.
that's my goal for my employees. So my second part of the question, if you're a small business owner, when do you feel like somebody should be like, okay, now let's try to hire some people?
I would say the safest way for people that don't have high risk tolerance like myself is make sure you have 6 months to a year, I would say a year, of reserves that can pay for that person you're going to bring on board. So if it's a closer, sure, it may be commission only. There's some companies that will give you salary like $2,000 a month or something like that and give you commission as well. But make sure that you can afford that person, right? When I bring people on board, hey, how much money do you need to make? How much money would you love? Excuse me. How much money would you love to make? So those are things I love to understand. And if you have the funds to do that, if you have the resources to bring that person on board, then bring them on board. But don't if you don't have those resources to make sure this person can still feed his family, don't bring them on board. That's a
Gotcha.
really great learning experience. I learned that the hard way. I've been through those mistakes, and I also know what to do now.
Talk about the mistakes a little bit. Like, what do you mean? What mistakes did you make? Because I was about to ask you what did you do? So what happened with you?
Well, for me is I started bringing cold callers like VAs, and this is when my partner was because at the time I was closing deals for other companies, and my partner was like, "Hey, man, we need to bring a VA on board." I'm like, "Man, I'm telling you, like, I don't think that's really what we should do," but we did it anyways. And bro, like, we brought a VA 3 months later, no deal from that VA. We're spending like maybe, I don't know, $2,500 a month.
Mhm.
And bro, the freaking bank was starting to dry up. I'm like, yo, this is not
Right.
cool. And that's kind of when I started delegating. I started finding business partners, where I call them, database partners, JV partners that do have the funds and can afford, 6 months to a year reserve and, bring in leads for me to close. And that's kind of how my business is structured now. I manage, I want to say 10, 15 databases now. And those people
Hell
are
yeah.
completely hands off most of the time. I would say 95% of them are pretty much hands off.
What do
All
you
they
mean by
do.
a database?
Well, I don't know if you know Podio. Have you heard of Podio?
Yeah.
So like that's the CRM. They will have the funds to go hire VAs and bring them on board and then rely on me and my team to close them, do the TC work, and also dispo them.
Sorry, Podio will like manage the VAs? Is that what you're saying? Or am I
No, no, no,
confused?
no, 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 no. We're using Podio as a CRM, like to
Right.
centralize all the leads we get from all the databases, if that makes sense.
But what are the databases? That's what I'm asking.
Other
Like, what are
people,
they?
other people. Like let's say Jonah,
Gotcha.
let's say you have a W-2, and you don't have the time to have your own wholesale operation. But let's say, hey man, I want to take down properties creatively, but I don't have the time to go get on the phone, follow up with these leads. what you would do is you would reach out to me and you would be like, hey, I have the funds and I want to target this market
Gotcha.
so I can take down properties. Can you and your team close them? And if I don't like them, you can dispo them. We're like, yeah, perfect. Then
Gotcha.
that's how we work.
You're
Yeah,
JVing and they're doing the lead generation, basically. Right?
exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Cool, my man. Well, all right. So we hit an hour, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I always end the podcast with one last question that I always really like. So I want you to go back to Alejandro right when I want to go back to Alejandro right when he, what were you thinking right when you started your own business? Like, right
Mhm.
when you started your own business, what would you tell yourself knowing everything that you know now? Like, what advice would you give yourself to like when you were just starting out? Let's do two of them. Let's do one let's start with the one where you like just started with the job in real estate,
Uh-huh.
and then one where you're starting your own business.
Okay, so are you asking what me right now would tell that person when he first started?
Exactly. Yep.
Hmm. Man, I think when I first started working for the other company, I mean, I think he said it perfectly, bro. He said, "Hey, I can't promise you that you're gonna make X amount every month, but I can promise you there's a lot of opportunities." And but also I would add with what I know now, hey, this is where your freedom is going to be set. That's
Hmm.
what I would say back then.
Okay. How about when you were starting your business?
I would tell him to chill out and slow the heck down.
Ah.
Relax. It's gonna take some time, bro. Relax. Bro, when I first started my business, bro, I was popping Adderalls
Oh,
and
damn.
bro, cold calling. I did not care. I didn't have a plan B. That was it. And if you go back to my real Jonah, like I had maybe 3 weeks. My partner and I had 3 weeks to figure out where the heck we're going to find $3,000 for rent. And I
Hmm.
popped that Adderall. 15 minutes later, I found that $3,000, and I closed that deal that same day, and it was exactly
Damn.
$3,000. So
Wait. Talk about that, bro. Like that's crazy story. Are you telling me if I get a prescription for Adderall, I can make $3,000 in real estate?
perhaps, yeah, it depends if you put in the action. Yeah, bro, I was focused. I was getting on that
Uh,
dialer, bro, just calling. And I was negotiating with both parties, both sellers and the buyer. Dude, listen, I just need to make $3,000 on this deal. Just whatever. This is a good deal. Awesome. Hey, seller, just knock it down $1,000. Hey, buyer, go up $1,000 and let's get this deal. Come on. And then $3,000 came out of that, and that's when we never looked back.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. I like that, man. That's like a crazy story. Like I feel like so much the universe gives people what they need if they really put in the work and really freaking want it. Like I
I
love
have the
it,
HUD
bro.
statements. If anyone wants proof of that and that they think that story is fake, I have the HUD statements. Call me, text me, DM me on Instagram. I'll
That's
show
so
you.
funny. I love that so much. All right, man. So how can people reach you? What do you need in your business right now? What can people give you? What are you looking for from my audience?
Mm, you can find me at my Instagram. That's the best way. It's really Alvarez. I just recently started my YouTube channel. I will
You
be
got it right
releasing,
there.
yeah, I would be releasing lots of content of the basics, like how to find buyers and how to, get your own wholesale company.
What's your YouTube? How do we find you
It's
on
really
YouTube?
Alvarez. Yeah,
Okay,
youtube.com
same
slash
thing.
at it's really Alvarez. Yeah, that's
Okay.
my YouTube. And what I'm looking for in my business, if anyone's really good with SOPs and putting that stuff together, let me know.
Love it. Awesome. You're using Trainual, right? Or no?
Yeah, I do have Trino. Yeah.
You need to use Trainual for your SOPs, bro. That's
Yeah.
game changer. I'll give you a little bit of advice of like my little thing of learning SOPs
Mhm.
is create them while you need them because this is going to help you because we have a very similar personality. I can already tell.
Mhm.
SOPs how with our personality because you and me we're never going to sit down at Trainual and start writing out SOPs. We'll go
No.
freaking insane. So here's what you do. All right, I'm gonna spit some knowledge for the visionaries real quick. Here's how you create SOPs as a visionary. As soon as something important comes up, immediately. So let's say you have a seller, or let's say you're in escrow and the seller's trying to back out or something, right? That's when you do the SOP. You click Loom, basically. If you have Loom, I don't know if you know Loom, but let's say for the audience, Loom is basically, love it. Loom is basically a software that lets you record your computer along with your face. So you either do Loom or somehow record yourself, and then you immediately get on the phone and deal with the situation. You then take that recording, go on Trainual, just write like, what happens when a seller tries to back out. You write that in there. You just put the video in there, maybe write 2 or 3 sentences, and that's good enough, right? You don't have to write it all out. That's what integrators do. What we do as visionaries, just record everything we just did, and then just slap a video on there, and that'll work. That'll still teach people. They don't need it in writing. It's helpful, but you don't need it. So that's my little sauce for you on SOPs. Like, as a visionary, that's a one hunt. Don't try to do it while you're not dealing with something. Everything you do while you're dealing with it, record it, and then just throw it into Trainual. Just type out the title and slightly organize it. I guarantee you that's at least how I do SOPs, and it works pretty damn well.
Love it.
That's my advice to you. Yeah, no worries. Anything else? If somebody wants to help you write SOPs, sounds like you're willing to hire them. Sounds like people should follow you guys. His content is cool. He just started a podcast with Sam Singh, Daryl Ellison, and Mindset Marlin. Guys, these are giants in the industry. I've had all 3 of them on, and their podcasts are incredibly dope. They're on the YouTube channel if you guys want to check them out. But these guys are awesome, amazing, cool dudes. You'll close other people's leads, right?
Yeah, I'll close them. Yeah. Why not?
Okay. So, like, is there any, like, for me, how I do it now is like, I'm like, man, like, it has to be like somehow in my buying criteria. So if you give me a cash deal not in California, I'm just not going to do it. So, like, what's your buying criteria? Like, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for deals in North Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Dallas, Texas, really all over Texas. We're in South Carolina, Georgia as well. That's where my family's at. So I want to take down lots of properties down there. And I'm pretty much looking for creative deals. I'm not really doing cash deals right now, especially in this market. Okay. Trying to get loans out, just high interest.
South Carolina, Georgia.
North Carolina.
Or was it? Okay. South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Tampa.
Tampa and Dallas, Texas. And Phoenix too. I want at least just one house in Phoenix.
And Phoenix, just so that you got a place to stay when inevitably we're out there again, because that's literally where everything happens.
Right.
Yeah. So these are his markets, guys. Hit him up on Instagram, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Just DM him with a lead. DM him with the 4 pillars. Don't just DM him saying I got a deal. Have the 4 pillars, guys. Have timeline they want to sell, motivation, price, the address, and the condition of the house. Have that stuff ready for him, so he's not like, you're not wasting his time. This man is incredibly busy, so don't waste his time, guys. My man, do you have any final words for the audience?
Final words. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for joining us today. I know it's 9 p.m. Eastern, past people's bedtime. Jonah, I truly appreciate you, bro. It was a pleasure to meet you. Met you last year, the premiere. Are you going to be in the premiere this year as well?
No, I'm going to be in the Dominican. That's where I'm going to be.
That's right, bro. That's crazy. We have to talk about that. Yes,
dude. We have a lot to. We got a lot to connect on. We got martial arts. We got Dominican. We got real estate. Yeah. Stay after this. Don't leave once I end the live real quick.
Of course, bro. I'll be here. Thank you so much. If anyone's in the crowd, if they feel like they need some sense of like guidance, I'm here. I would love to do that. I would love to help the best I can. I hop on the phone very often with other students, with other people as well in real estate. That's just something that makes me really happy, and I'm really passionate about is help. When people say, "Oh my God, you've helped me do this and do that,
Mm-hmm.
bro. I've watched your videos. You helped me do that." Like that really makes me happy every single morning. Every time I wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, "Why am I doing this again?" Okay, cool. Let's keep going.
Yeah,
So,
100%. We got some fans in here who are like thanking you right now. Just want you to know that.
oh, thank you.
And we got somebody shouting out agent outreach, which is my stuff. That's
Ooh,
my stuff.
if you're doing agent outreach, I would love to talk to you. I would love to close those deals.
Alejandro, you know that that's my thing, right? Do you know that I have a whole Zoom series in Sub 2 about agent outreach? If you didn't know that, you really got to stay after the show. That's all I do. I don't do direct to seller anymore. Just FYI.
Wow.
So you and me
Oh, let's talk
we're
about
going to have
that.
a long conversation after this. Yeah, don't worry about it. But you will talk, and then also you should watch the podcast I did with Daryl and Mike on them. I dropped so many bombs on that. That was the best I've ever done, dropping gems that quickly and succinctly. I don't think I've ever done it better than
Love
that.
it.
But
Shout out to Daryl, man.
this I need to do, by the way. Joel, subscribe and follow to me, and I guarantee you I'm going to do that. I'm thinking about doing a 10-hour live, just me calling agents and seeing how that goes. I feel like that would be fun. But
Do it, bro. You got it.
it would be fun. I got to just plan out a day to do that. But anyways, so Alejandro, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you for coming on. This has been amazing. This has been cool. I love how we like really got into it. Guys, next week I've got one of the Donis brothers on. They're really cool. They're like in multifamily real estate. They're going to be an awesome guest. I'm going to be in the Dominican while I do it, so it's going to be really interesting about how that goes. I got to find internet. I got to find somewhere with some really good internet. But anywho, guys, I appreciate you guys so much. People on Instagram, if you were watching this on Instagram, tell me how it was. Tell me how it like listened to it. I might post it and like re-listen to it later. But I'm gonna end it there, guys. Next week, 5 p.m. PST. You are all amazing. Like, comment, and subscribe to me. Like, comment, and subscribe to Alejandro. And I will see y'all next week.